Lecture 4, Latent Fingerprints. So before, we talked about how to classify fingerprints. So we learned about the different types of patterns and the Galton's details that you can look at to individualize a fingerprint to a person. Right? But all of that knowledge won't do us any good if we don't have actual fingerprints to analyze. So that's where latent fingerprints are going to come in. Right, now, latent fingerprints, what the term latent means is present but not seen. So these are the fingerprints that have been left at a crime scene on surfaces and objects, but you cannot see them without some sort of developer. And now, how these form is the skin has deposits of oil and moisture on them. So like sweat. Right, and when you touch a surface or an object, some of that oil and moisture is transferred to that surface and it leaves an impression. And you won't be able to see that impression until you develop it with some sort of powder or chemical or light in order to make that impression visible. Now, we have a couple of different ways of detecting latent fingerprints. The first is going to be with alternate light sources. Sweat or moisture in the skin contains some elements that will fluoresce under a laser light, which allows the print to become visible. So you get this really awesome glow-in-the-dark print that you can take a photo of it and then use it as reference later. And this is really cool, mostly because I like glow-in-the-dark stuff. But most of the time what's going to be used are chemical developers. Oops, skipped ahead, sorry about that. And the first one, this is a common one, is iodine fuming. So you usually use iodine crystals. You want to be careful with these because it is a poison. And what happens is the fumes from the iodine crystals will stick to the oil and the sweat, and it'll turn the impression a brown, sometimes a purple color, depending on how long it stays in the chamber. Now, iodine fuming is used for porous items like paper, newspaper, paper bags, sometimes cloth. Right? So anything that's absorbent, would be a good thing for iodine fuming. 9-hydrin is also a common one that's used. 9-hydrin reacts with the amino acids or the proteins in your sweat, and it turns the fingerprint purple. And again, just like the iodine fuming, this is used for porous surfaces, such as paper. And so, for example, like if you had a dollar bill and you wanted to see fingerprints on there, you would use this method. This is probably one you have seen on a CSI show. This is cyanoacrylate fuming or superglue fuming. And the principle is the same as with the iodine and 9-hydrin. You have these fumes interacting with the oil and sweat. Right? In this case, it's going to turn the fingerprint a white color. Right, but what's different about cyanoacrylate fuming is this is going to be used on non-porous surfaces. Or hard surfaces. And so, for example, you might use this for a bicycle or a soda can or a garbage bag. So things like plastic, tape, metal, things that are not porous, such as paper. And probably the best known method of developing fingerprints is using a powder. So you're going to dust the fingerprints with powder. You're going to get a chance to do this one. To make them more visible, you're going to use a powder that gives you contrast depending on the color of your surface. So for example, if you had a white surface, you want to use black powder. If you have a dark surface, you want to use a white powder. So those are the different fingerprint development methods. You're going to get a chance to use most of these. So you're going to be doing the powder method, the cyanoacrylate or superglue fuming, and the iodine fuming method in class. All right, so if you would answer the questions in the Google form, and thanks for watching.